What up? What up? We are back after was it a disappointing tie or are we cool with the tie?
No, we're not cool with the
We're
tie,
not
man.
cool with the
Of course
tie.
not.
Okay,
Frustrating.
done with the Clasico Regio 0-0 at BBVA Stadium, House of the Los Rayados, known as House of Tigres. Um, Guys, I mean, I had to watch the replay, so I didn't get to watch it with all the emotions live. But I'm sure it was great, just like any Clasico normally is. A lot of hype, a lot of talent on the field. Sometimes it delivers, sometimes it don't. But it looks like this time we didn't get any goals. But some initial thoughts because it was a roller coaster between the first half and the second half. Great contrast. So Edgar, we'll start off with you, brother. What were some initial thoughts about the game going into the game? What were your expectations? And then once the game started?
So from the last episode, I thought that we would go winning 3-1. Obviously, that didn't happen. But to me, the first half and the second half felt like two different games. I think after the first 45 minutes, I still had the mindset that we could have gone 3-1. And then the second half just didn't happen. It was frustrating. Um, Igor did good. There were some positives as well as some negatives, but overall, it was just a real frustrating game.
Yep. Sean, I know you have some quarrels with some of our defenders back there. So the lineup, what did you think about the actual lineup that he came out with defensively? What were your thoughts about the line? Because I thought they had a great game back there.
I thought we got lucky that the VAR overruled that goal. I thought that we were kind of lucky to come away with a draw in that sense, and that was the only ball that actually went into the net. I actually thought that we were the better team. I'm having to eat a little crow after thinking that we might be wobbly a little bit, come out and prove it against Santos, and then come out and really, should have had at least two of those goals. I mean, you hit the woodwork twice, and that one that got kicked off the goal line was a miracle. So in all actuality, that's probably should have been a 1-1 game. It ends up 0-0. You take the points and prove yourself to be a legitimate title contender in this league, having just done what you did to Santos and done what you did to Monterrey. So the way that the back line continues to put up zeros, we have qualms with, but you can't argue with results, unfortunately. And so at some point, we're going to just have to admit to facts of believing in the back line, regardless of kind of who's back there, because regardless of who's been back there recently via injuries and or red cards and or just regular lineup changes and transfers in, transfers out, they continue to produce. We throw out the 3-goal anomaly of the season opener without Nahuel, and you're looking at a team that's given up 3 goals in 8 games. So I think we're right where we want to be in terms of looking like a championship contender. We need to find a way to secure one of the top two seeds. So I think the game against Toluca and maintaining pace with Toluca is going to be tremendously important for the remainder of the season. But overall takeaway, to complete and total net positive from the last two fixtures.
Absolutely. I think that for the most part, the defensive line looks confident and also is making smarter decisions. They don't look as chaotic. But Lewis, about the midfield, man, Cordova had himself another game, but I felt like he had a different role this game as opposed to the previous games. He was in a more helping out in the middle and defend. So, what were your thoughts about in this first half? The midfield play, because I thought that, like I mentioned, Cordoba had a great game there.
I feel like once again, Piojo respected the opponent way too much. We said it going into the Pachuca game that he was just respecting them too much, their firepower. And in this case, he did the same thing. To me, he had one too many defenders at the back. If you look at a lot of the plays, especially on the counter for Rayados, they're going one attacker against three defenders back there. They had no chance. They had their first shot on goal at the 57th minute. So that tells you they weren't generating any chances. They weren't doing anything against us. But if you look at our midfield, Pizarro and Cordova were having to do most of the work. There's a lot of gaps. Rayados overloaded the mid. So we were having to kind of skip lines to be able to generate offensive chances. And so a lot of the play didn't go through our midfield. I understand we didn't have Carioca, but after the 15th minute, I feel like Piojo should have pulled one of the center backs, either Reyes or Lichnowsky. Take your pick, pull one of them, and you could have brought in a midfielder, or you could have brought in a Caicedo type player to really press Rayados, and I don't think he did it. And so I think that put a lot of load on Cordoba. He had a great game, don't get me wrong, but he was having to play a different game, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I think had he been allowed to play the game that he should have played, I think Tigres would have easily scored 3 goals, like Edgar was saying. I think the game was set up for Tigres to score that many, especially as depleted as Rayados was.
Yeah, and one of the things too, overall, the team just looked very focused. Like they had no pressure on them. Like we looked like the dominant, cool, collected team for the majority of the first half, and the chances that we missed out on. So we should have been rewarded with at least a goal going into the half, maybe 2 possibly. But the attack was generating chances like you were saying, but skipping lines because of the gap in the midfield. And so my question is like, what's up with Gignac? Because now, 4 games that he's not been in good form. He's had some chances, but hasn't connected to score. And then this game, I think that it was one in a while where he was definitely the worst player on the field.
Yeah, I don't think he's had bad games. Like he played well against Santos. He hasn't scored, which is what we need him to do, but he hasn't played bad. I think this is the first game I've seen him all season long where he's looked bad. He didn't get a whole lot of touches. His movement wasn't great. He missed the one opportunity he had in the second half, which I think normally he puts away. That cross into the box where he's one-on-one with the defender, and he shot it right at Andrada, the goalkeeper. Normally, when I saw that ball coming towards him and him freeing up from the center back, I was like, he's going to score. He's going to put it, he's going to put it to the far post, and he shot it straight at the goalie. And it's the only opportunity he had all night, really. And he's really quiet. He's unusually quiet, I think.
Is he unhealthy? Do we think he's unhealthy?
No, I think if you're just seeing the signs of age more than anything, he's still good for that magic moment. He's still good to be a talisman when the engine's running hot, but you just may not be able to expect it all the time out of somebody there. And so I would agree with Luis where it's frustrating to not see a Caicedo come on, even if you're not going to replace a center back, at least go like for like when Gignac hasn't shown you anything for the first 60 minutes. Give somebody out there with fresh legs for the last 30 when we were looking lackluster and see if you can push the pace a little.
And
To
that was
me, a lot of it was fatigue.
yeah.
I'm with Sean. A lot of it was just fatigue. I think Piojo respects him too much, where he doesn't pull him early enough in a lot of games, and he's starting to burn him out. And in this game, he just looked tired to me the whole way through. The
And
energy wasn't there.
and he hasn't been practicing. If I'm not mistaken, the last 2 weeks, I think he's only practiced like 3, maybe 4 days at most. Dealing, he takes an off day and he basically does gym work. So going into the second half, we talked. You talked about Piojo not being aggressive enough. What do we think about the subs in the second half? Was there another player that could have helped? You guys mentioned Caicedo. Anyone else on the bench? I thought it was a little surprising that Tercero came in for Uguayala. I'm sorry, for Diego Reyes as opposed to Uguayala. Any thoughts on the subs?
I think they were awful. I think none of them should have happened the way that they did. I think Fulgencio should have come in at the 45. I know there are circumstances that made that different. I agree. Their settle was a bit of a strange one to me. I hated them at all, and honestly, I think that is the reason why we didn't win this game. The subs were just awful. They weren't planned. Like Lise was saying, he respected his rival way too much. I mean, those subs, you wouldn't see them in another game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had the opportunity, I think, to get really aggressive after Eric Aguirre got pulled off. So Eric Aguirre, if you
Right,
go
right,
back and
right.
look at the tape, at the 15-minute mark, he got injured. And they brought in a guy who's been playing in the expansion league, man. I mean, it's a total rookie guy who Edson Gutierrez, I think is his name. So a guy who's really fresh, has probably never played a Clasico in his life. And I think that was his opportunity to go after Rayados. You could tell Rayados were really shooken up there for like between the 15-minute mark and probably about the 40th minute. Tigres was really pressing, and I think he had Rayados on the ropes. If he would have just made a couple of solid substitutions, he would have scored. And honestly, I don't think Rayados would have finished with 11 players. If we would have just been a little more aggressive, you could have easily pulled out Reyes, for example, brought in Caicedo, and you could have brought in Fulgencio at some other point, and just changed the lineup, just tweak it a little bit to get more aggressive, score, and then even if things don't go your way, you still have Ayala as a potential sub where you could pull a Gignac, for example, and bring in Ayala just to kind of solidify the defense. So it's not like
To close
making
it
one
out.
move is going to mess you up to close the game out anyway. And so I think he waited too long. From what I hear, Diente Lopez was injured
Yeah.
really early on in that game, and he kept him for another 40 minutes, dude. I mean, it's just I don't understand. When you have the pieces, you got to make the subs. I mean, he has a better bench than Bucetich at Rayados, so why
Yeah.
not use it? You know?
And also, like, Quinones was pulled off in the 86th minute. And you bring a guy in, Vigon, who has. There's one thing that we're going to get from Vigon, whether he has a great game or not, is intensity. Las ganas. He's going to be all over the pitch, pressuring the ball. And so I feel like coming in the 86th minute, you're not really being intelligent as when you need to, like, choke the other team in order to, attack them and go down their throat. So I thought that was terrible on his behalf. And, now you mentioned Diente. He's going to be out 2 weeks. So moving forward, that spot's open. Florian's hurt. So Fulgencio looks like the automatic plug there. But, it could be Cordova gets pushed up more. We play a slightly different. Carioca comes in the game. So what are we thinking there? Because that right side of the field, the first half is a lot more easier to measure as far as how the team played. So I felt, and even I brought it up last episode, was our attack. The right side of the field does not get a lot of connection going and build up moving forward. Now with Diente out on that side, what player or what do we need to do for this upcoming game against Pumas to change the way that we play?
Well, I would say I think kind of matching off of the subs point, it seems like Piojo is really, really tied to being in that 5-2-5-4-1, whatever you want to call it. And so he's making just nothing but like for like subs and is being kind of inflexible in the lineup situation. And so if you take that kind of as a fact for now and assume that we're going to continue running that, five with the wing backs being willing to move up and then the left and right mids being willing to move up kind of as wingers. Gignac, we're riding the wheels off of that thing seemingly, so he'll start. And then I would have to guess,
man.
I mean, give the guy a game off. Let Caicedo. I mean, what are you bringing Caicedo for if you're just gonna, ride him for 90 minutes? The poor guy.
I mean, but that's honestly that's what's happened to every offensive player that's came to Tigres for the last 7 years. Dude, you think about Ener Valencia. Ener Valencia is leading the league in Turkey right now in goals, and Edu Vargas, Andy Delort. The guy still has it, but I feel like now the chances are just not being converted as opposed to previous seasons.
Yeah.
But don't disrespect him
I'm
like
with
that,
I'm
though.
with Sean though, man. I think they're working him too hard, man. I think
Yeah.
he needs to incorporate some kind of rotation with him. Let him play maybe 60 minutes and then bring in Caicedo, give him a solid 30. Because what we need is Gignac healthy in Liguilla. It doesn't matter how much he kills it. We're pretty much running away from the pack as far as standings is concerned. So why not start, letting other players get some
Load
minutes?
management.
I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
I'd
Load
understand
management.
it too if he was the captain wearing the armband every game, but he doesn't even wear the armband. So I know it's almost sacrosanct to say put him on the bench and let him be the 30-minute sub. And can you imagine a fresh Gignac against tired legs for 30 crazy minutes potentially trying to play hero ball? I like that more as a role, even if if that's his rest scenario game.
Impossible when you pay him that much, but I feel you. I feel you.
As far as rotations, Arnaldo, I feel like I think Piojo now has the team to do a 4-2-3-1. I think that's gonna be the formation moving forward, where you've got Carioca and Pizarro playing in that holding mid role, and then Cordova ahead of them as the attacking mid. Gignac ahead of Cordova with Quiñones and Fulgencio as your two wingers. I mean, I think it just sets up well for him because you got Samir Caetano now who can boss that back line. I have no doubts that guy's going to be tremendous for us. So now with a proven back line, man, there's no reason why you can't play 4 at the back instead of 5.
Mm-hmm.
So go 4-2-3-1. That gives you more pieces in the midfield, and honestly, it's gonna make the team attack better. It's what Piojo wants anyways. That gives you a chance to attack higher up the pitch.
Yeah, I think that as long as he's flexible, like it doesn't matter how we play certain games. We can play 3 in the back or 4 in the back, depending on the opponent. But he has to
You
be
guys will
flexible.
know. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you guys will know this better than me. What does he historically run? Has he been more of a
4.
4 at the back or a 5
Yeah.
at the back? Or what does he kind of historically run?
4, always 4 for
Always
the most
4.
part.
Okay.
Yeah, and he I think he made a comment to when he was like first came in and he started playing 3 in the back and was successful. That he can play with it, but it's not his ideal choice.
Okay. So we're in a perfect world. We're building to a 4 at the back system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at America, he ran 5 because he had really good wing backs in Paulo Aguilar, and can't remember who he had on the other side. But, the system set up well for him to play.
Layun.
Yeah, so, I think he did it because he had just the pieces to do it.
And he
But I
had
think,
really good center backs too.
yeah, but I think here from the beginning, he's always said he's wanted 4 at the back, which that tells me he wants a 4-2-3-1.
And
I
it's
think that's what he's working for.
And it's part of that transition, bringing in a guy like Loroña, and now you have your starting right back. Angulo, ideally, with Aquino aging, ideally Angulo is going to be your starting left back. You now brought in the left center back in Samir, and now the right spot's open. Well, I think it's claimed by Igor, but ideally it's up for grabs for Reyes, Igor, and then Ayala. But I think Ayala is also on the phasing out of it. So the defense has gotten the restructure that Edgar had mentioned in one of our group threads that we didn't really get in the past. It actually seems like it's happening now. The midfield got renovated with Cordova. So if we're going to play a 4-2-3-1, I think it has to be at teams like Pumas, who everybody, takes their lunch money every game. So
Honestly, against Pumas, man, he could go a 3-4-3 if he wanted to. He could play, not even play with wing backs. And Pumas is just in such a slump right now that honestly, I feel like he could get really, really aggressive with that lineup and score a ton if he wanted to. Not that you want to do kick the dog while it's down, but he's got a lot of choices potentially in this midweek game.
And back to the Gignac subject, though, this would be the perfect opportunity to sit in for 45 minutes, get Jordy in, and see, all right, what can you really do starting fresh, 45 complete minutes, what do you got? And how familiar are you with your teammates? How much can you do? I think that would be a really perfect scenario for the next game. I don't think we'll see it, but I would like for that to happen.
that's a fantastic idea. How long is it going to be until we apply, European style approach to games? Man City does it. Pep rotates at least 4 of his players every lineup. That all the big clubs do it. And I just don't understand how, especially when we pay that much to have talent on the bench, how we don't utilize that better. Tuca didn't do it at all. Piojo, is not really showing that he can do it a lot, or is not choosing to. So
that's the thing with Piojo, is that he's not choosing to. Like with Tuca, at least you knew that he was never going to do it. Tuca just was old school. He didn't believe in that kind of stuff, like rotations, like whatever, we're not doing it. But Piojo, when he came in, you saw how much he rotated that squad. Like he was making a ton of subs. Guys like Chuy Garza and David Ayala were getting minutes, man.
Mm-hmm.
And now you don't see them. So something happened with Piojo that he's just gotten so conservative, man. Extremely conservative.
It was probably, when they told him to, better get his act straight or he's going to get fired.
No, that's what I said in the chat. I think for whatever reason, he's trying to prove himself with the players that he brought in. I feel like how they say about El Tri, that they have the becados, their scholarship. They're kind of starting to feel that same way in Tigres with Quiñones, with Igor, with Reyes. They're, for whatever reason, just solidified there. No matter if they're playing good or playing awful, they're there. If they're available, if they didn't get a red, you're going to see them.
Dude,
He definitely has his favorites.
Luis-
Quinones is his favorite.
Luis Quiñones is his Renato Ibarra of America, man. Like he could literally, like he did, hit a woman and go to jail, and he would still
Yeah.
play this man. So there's no doubt in my mind, Luis Quiñones will be the starting guy in the playoffs, in the semis, and then once we get to the championship this season.
If Florian's healthy, is he the other potential wing guy, or do you think he's just lost the trust at this point and you play Fulgencio or Diente?
The Ferrari's still in the shop, and the mechanic can't figure out what's wrong. Sean.
Bro, I'm over it, man. I'm tired of not being participative. Like, what is the point of having a player of that caliber and you can't even show him off, man? Like, I think we just gotta realize even if he contributes, he's not gonna be that star that we thought we were gonna get when he first arrived.
At
That
this
Ferrari's gonna
point,
come
I'm
back
just
and
like,
Piojo's gonna lose the keys.
These are the keys.
at this point, I'm just like, let's save him for the Liguilla and see if he's available. But I'm almost not counting on him anymore, man. It's weird. He would have been perfect for this Rayados game. Like, there's two players that I feel would have killed it in this last game against Rayados, and it's Toban and Carioca, man. Both those two guys would have made a killing for us.
I was
But-
surprised with how much Rayados let us play with the ball, man. They let us have possession, and that's where I thought like you were right, about the whole pulling out a defender. We got to bring in a midfielder.
Do we want to talk about Chaka playing with the U20s and maybe being on the verge of return potentially?
Man, I hope that guy got a clean
Man,
soul.
I hope we get him back. If it could just be for one season, man. I know a lot of people hate on him like crazy because he lets everybody go by him, but we've never had a right back that can dribble like that, can pass like that. I mean, the guy's he's got a ton of talent, but mentally he's just not. Something's wrong. Like after he received those death threats after the L3 game,
Yep.
everything went downhill for him
And
because
that-
it got personal because they went after his family and it was just that messed him up big time, man.
And he's a very religious person. He dedicates a lot to religion. So I'm sure psychologically he felt like at a crossover where he was just not maybe even believing in what his religion was because he couldn't believe all these people were doing that to him because that was intense, man. And the thing is, people don't understand. This is why I hate watching La Selección is that no matter who we got, bro, we're not a top 10 team. Chill.
Bro, I am to the point where I just don't even want to send any of our players over there
No.
because they come back worse. Psychologically they're a mess. And all they get is criticism because people
They're Tigres
expect them to
players.
play. They expect them to play like they're in the Brazil national team, and it's it's just too much drama, and they come back all messed up. And I'm like, let's just keep them here.
Yeah,
We
they
don't
wear
need
the
to
Tigres jersey, and then when they go to the La Selección, they're expecting them to play like Iñak. They're expecting them to play like Florian. You're not gonna get that.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it'd be awesome if we got that. We don't even get that.
Dude, and if they make a mistake, it's all over Twitter. It's like, oh, Tigres player.
They turn them into the scapegoats.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole team
Screw
is
'em.
rubbish, and you're gonna just go after the one Tigres player that got to start.
So how are we feeling about Dani Alves and the Pumas tomorrow?
Well, talk about unfair criticism. That's one guy that's gotten a ton of unfair criticism. Poor guy comes in and now he's blamed for everything that's wrong with Pumas. To me, I mean, Pumas is just in free fall right now. There's no reason why we shouldn't win this game. 3-0.
I don't know what's up with that. Dude, they have a good roster. I like their roster. It shouldn't be where they're at.
They haven't been anything interesting in the last 3 or 4 short seasons, though. So, I mean, they haven't been truly competitive for a decent chunk of time now in terms of actually feeling like you should have some fear when you go in and play Pumas. I'm with Luis. I'm actually thinking a 2-0, 3-0 score line is right in line with where we should be after this game.
I honestly have no idea how they got to that final of the Champions League.
Right.
How did we get to that point? I really don't remember.
That was just it's a bad combination of things. Mexico, the federation didn't send the best teams.
That was bad.
It was just a bad mix, man. they had played well the season before, and then they just all went into a slump. And so it was just a weird combination of things. Not to mention MLS is getting better. That's also a factor.
And if
But
there's one team
but
that
it
was
was just
going
a
to beat them,
weird
it was going to be
mix.
Seattle.
Exactly.
Right.
Like,
Honestly, I
Seattle's a
feel like they
good team.
overperformed. Pumas kind of overperformed in that tournament, to be honest with you.
I was low-key rooting for Seattle, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Like,
I can't root for Seattle, man. I can't. After they blew us out in that one.
oh, when Elias
Uh,
Hernandez was in there, Lucas Lobos.
no, this other one. They've blown us out several times.
Yeah, no,
But this
yeah.
last time, I wanted Piojo out, man. I was like,
Oh, right,
how are we
right.
gonna beat like we got beat like 3-0 or something,
That
like
was
4-0.
gross. So gross.
That's right. I forgot about that. What was that? What tournament was that? Was it a tournament?
It was
or just friendly?
Nations Cup or something like
It's
that.
Cup.
So,
I think Leon ended up winning that tournament,
mhm.
if I'm not
Ah.
mistaken.
Oh, right. I do recall that. Well, I'm thinking I'm with you guys. I mean, it should be a good victory. It's a home game. I love home games, midweek games. It's just they're so easy to watch, from the comfort of the house. So I am looking forward to a dub. And I said it last game. I tweeted out to you. I think that Gignac has to get his goals in, man. But it would be great to moderate his minutes this upcoming game, especially we got another game on the weekend. So hopefully Piojo gets his bench going, man. We need everybody involved, clicking as we're going into towards the end of the season.
Yeah, we got 2 big games left in the season that I think America and Toluca. And if we could pull out dubs, man, I think we can finish at the top of the table because we're only 2 points behind, but we got a game at hand. So I'm hoping that we continue rolling. Honestly, after what I've seen, Tigres has probably the best team in the league. If we could just get it together, stay injury free.
Red card free.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We're
stay disciplined.
we're looking good,
Yeah.
man. We're
Yeah, I
looking good.
agree. I definitely take back everything I said when we first started the season. I think the team looks a lot more structured, a lot more balanced, and it's not just so chaotic going forward. So I think that's helped a lot.
And it's the pieces. I mean, the pieces that we've added are making a difference. Loroña's already been impactful. Caetano's going to be impactful. And I have no doubt Caicedo's eventually going to chip in too. And I think those pieces are kind of what's making the team get better.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think we'll see Samir next game?
Ooh,
I
don't
sure
know.
hope so. I hope so. From what I hear, he's ready. There's no reason why he.
I mean, he was in form, right? He was playing in the championship league.
I think so, yeah. I would say we'll see him this week. It may not be Wednesday, but I definitely think if we don't see him,
Yeah,
we'll see him
rotate
Saturday.
some type of rotation here from who do we got after Pumas? Toluca?
No.
Yeah, I'll check it real quick.
Is it Necaxa?
Necaxa.
Really?
Okay.
Oh man, that's good. So we need to find some type of movement of the players, shuffling the lineup a little bit. We need to get going back in form too, man. He needs to contribute. We need everybody going.
He's been quiet, man, but I'm hoping he'll pick it up.
Well,
see.
when you write down the names that are as like a 2 deep depth chart, you get excited about even what would be a second starting lineup. So the willingness to make the moves on our end is unfortunately unmatched by Piojo's willingness right now. But hopefully
Right.
with the short turnaround between these games, we'll see a little bit more flexibility and willingness to be open to some new ideas. But we'll see. I'm certainly hopeful. I would say that we've definitely solidified our status as a championship contender. You can erase the doubts at this point. We're one of the top 3 teams. So if we can get one of those top 2 seeds, you can cruise into the finals, even in the Regio with just ties. So I think that's the real goal that we got to be looking for the rest of this regular season is to keep those top 2 seeds.
You know how we know we're definitely contenders. It was the 86th minute game was tied 0-0. And when Quiñones got subbed out, he walked 25 yards to the sideline, and not a single Rayados player went over there to make him hurry up. They didn't want any part of that game, man. It was 0-0, and they were happy with it because they knew. I mean, we had them on the ropes. I mean, we really did. Diente had 3.
Yeah.
And Gignac missed 1, so Rayados has had, check this out, 3 shots on goal in 180 minutes.
Damn.
In 180 minutes, bro. 0 goals, 3 shots on goal. So that kind of tells you Tigres, if we face them again, we got a
We
really,
might
really
be
good
for
shot.
real, guys. We might be for real.
No, hopefully it is. And I said this earlier in the week, but I don't like saying this too often. This is one of the better versions of Rayados that we've seen in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to, have had the potential to win, for them to, like you said, we're at the 86 minutes, they're against the ropes, and they don't care to keep pushing against, honestly, one of the better teams in the league right now, besides Toluca. We're doing good, and we have that potential to get the title, and hopefully we do. I hope Piojo proves me wrong. I hope Igor proves me wrong. Everyone else I've talked down on this season.
Dude, that would be something, man. We win the chip and like we end up winning with Igor Lichnowsky as our starting defender.
Hey, if we win the championship, we got to put Sean's clip from 2 weeks ago where he said we were frauds. It'll
That's
be
great.
it'll be in the bloopers, man.
Absolutely.
And all of our week 1 rants too. After we were like, oh, we're garbage.
Yeah, we did, man. We
Those were-
definitely
yeah.
should talk the team a lot. All right, guys. Well, that was good, man. That was a great combo. Thank you guys for taking the time and look forward to next time.
Take care. We'll see you.
Thank you. See you guys.